special good. He'll make this December the one you'll remember, the best and the merriest you ever did have. Everybody's waiting for the man with the bag. Christmas is here again. Come on. Christmas is here again. Oh, he's got a sleigh full, it's not gonna stay full. He's got stuff that he's dropping every stop of the way. Everybody's waiting for the man with the bag. Christmas is here again. He'll be here with the answer to the prayers that you made through the year. You'll get yours if you've done everything you should. Extra special good. He'll make this December the one you'll remember, the best and the merriest you ever did have. Everybody's waiting. They're all congregating, waiting for the man with the bag. You better watch out now. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. So I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways,
Alright folks, welcome to my first ever FaceIt Overwatch stream here. We're headed into First Flame going up against Wright State University Raiders. Rogers State, sorry, I'm so used to commentating on a collegiate level that this is a bit of a foray for me. We're going to see immediately First Flame walk out on the Cassidy. We've got the Lucio pick here, running with the Kiriko, following up as well. We did see a couple of bans headed into our first map of the night, which is going to be Nepal. See a ban on the Zarya, followed up with a mirror ban onto Ana, so immediately trying to knock out the bubble pick is very stable. You know, we've seen Zarya bans from pretty much every level, every division of Overwatch competitively. Bill on the far right here, trying to find some value early on Nepal as First Flame's going to concede that capture. Already we can see a bit of a skirmish going on at the point with Nebulous taking some early pressure. Raysace gets a kill onto a Verse Puma, and immediately out, Alu Vian is put in a tough spot. Ender with the kill onto Raysace, trading out there. Vic Jumpman gets a couple of kills, but looks like that's going to be enough for First Flame to get the finishing blows onto Ender and take this capture in their favor. After 30% though, that's a pretty decent start to the match. First Flame's immediately going over to the height to try and meet WSUR in the building. Bill with a very quick kill onto Alu. Taking a look at a Verse Puma here, trying to find a different off angle to rotate through as First Flame is getting their capture progress back up. Still struggling to find some pressure from WSUR's side, but they are slowly peppering out First Flame. Need to find a way to deal with the height though, because Bill and Raysace really peppering out Rep. As a result, that's going to be a bit of a reset, you know, losing your Ramatra that early on. Coming up on a couple of ultimates though, First Flame's going to have that Deadeye coming any second now. Aluvian coming up on a little ways out from Kitsune Rush, but Ender is going to have Overclock fairly soon. Looks like they might rotate once again through main, which is a bit of a risky decision, especially considering Raysace and Bill have been extraordinarily oppressive so far. We can see Big Jumpman already putting a lot of pressure on. Big Jumpman gets the kill onto Cade. Raysace now having the Deadeye as well. Big Jumpman with another onto Alu and another onto a Verse Puma. Fighting just Rep here. Down goes Bill, but First Flame is still able to maintain their presence. First Flame is still able to maintain their presence over WSR, giving them a strong start here. Now that they've gained the lead, it's coming down to the wire. There's 5 ultimates on First Flame side, only 1 on WSUR. Hear that overclock come out. Out comes Kitsune Rush as well. First Flame's playing with the value. There's the sound barrier as well. High Noon popped by Raysace on the point, mirrored by the other sound barrier. Bit of a skirmish on the point as it goes back and forth. Out comes Annihilation, gets one, but Nebulous finds the kill into a Verse. WSUR really fighting for any presence here as Bic and Nebulous get 2 more kills. They're able to demech Bic, but Bic still has the self-destruct sequence. Out goes Annihilation, but the Rep is still on the point. Ender's finally able to get the kill onto Alec, which actually allows the capture progress to turn back around, but only for a moment as Bic and Bill are back on the point, cleaning up for First Flame. Out comes the Dragon Blade as a last-ditch effort. It gets a kill on a Nebulous, but it's not quite enough as that capture is going to go back over to First Flame. The ball roll out very quickly. Alu's not going to be able to make it to the point, and First Flame's going to take that first round on Nepal here. We saw a pretty strong capture at the very beginning of the first of the points from Wright State Raiders here. But Wright State's going to struggle quite a bit to really knock First Flame's pressure out. Headed into the second capture point, though, there's plenty of opportunities to turn this back around, especially with this one's a bit more open, not as confined, giving some credence to run that Symmetra here on a Verse. We can see Bill swapping to it as well. There's a potential that they're doing this just for the teleports. But other than that, I think that the Baptiste-Lucio combination is working in their favor a little bit, but if Alu's not going to be able to get onto point consistent enough, it's going to struggle to find that versatility that you would find with a Kiriko able to teleport onto an off angle or get some pressure through there. Bill using it for the teleport, same thing. A Verse Puma actually sticking with the Symmetra here, playing on the point. We already see this initial confrontation from First Flame and Wright State. Rep pressuring Alec and Races here. Might be able to find a bit of a kill, but gets kind of isolated out, forcing the passive reset. We can see Bick in an opportunity to play offensive as well. Rotating onto the point, really forcing Rep off. Averse is still trying to find value on that Symmetra, extraordinarily low. Almost melting though, has a very strong beam at the moment, destroying a lot of Bick's armor. Looking for that teleport out, but isn't going to be able to find it. Alu trying to keep the rest of Right State up before they have to back out. Bill and Nebula is going to get a couple of kills as First Flame takes the capture, giving them a strong start once again in the second round, headed into the map point here. It's a bit difficult for a retake, but they're looking to get some ultimates and hopefully have something to play against First Flame with. First Flame coming up on that Deadeye and the Rocket Barrage on the Pharah as well. They get over to Cade's perspective on the Lucio, looking for some potential, looking for the call to go in. There's the Sim teleport, but immediately met with Chaos. That hinder hurts. Bill gets a kill onto Averse. Race's bit pressured out, but Bick and Bill are still able to find kills. Ender finds two, Rep finds another, but it's just not quite enough. Rep's alone on the point as Bick and Nebulous round back around to get the finishing blow. First Flame, after actually a pretty tough back and forth, going to be able to come out on top, mostly because of being able to sustain Nebulous and Bick there. Both of them just outnumbering Rep at the end, not going to have the damage to deal with that. Headed into this next fight though, First Flame still has a massive ult advantage over Right State, putting Right State in a very tough position headed into this next fight. Coming up on that amplification matrix, there's a chance that Alu plays on this far angle here, pops at the moment the team fight begins, looking for an opportunity. There's the Sim teleport again. They're trying to catch First Flame out. We can see the amplification matrix, but out comes Rocket Barrage from Bill. It's not going to be able to secure a kill, but that's a lot of pressure. Alec has that sound barrier as well. First Flame's looking for any opportunity to use what they need. Alec gets the kill onto Averse. There's the mirrored sound barrier from Alec. It's a bit of a back and forth as Bill goes down, but Ender gets a kill. Raceace gets one on. Ender gets taken out by Raceace there, and another onto Cade. First Flame still securing the fight. And Rep's not going to have any time to use that Annihilation with both Alu and Cade going down. Ender doesn't have time to get to the point to use Tactical Visor, popping it for any semblance of a capture, but out comes Kitsune Rush from Nebulous. Bick and Bill finding 3 kills up against Right State, and with no one able to touch, First Flame's going to be able to take that first map of the night over Right State Raiders, giving a strong start for First Flame. We'll see if Right State can tie things up in map 2 after a short break.
And may all your Christmases be white. It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all, with those holiday greetings and gay happy meetings when friends come to call. It's the happiest season of all. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. wonderful time of the year.
Parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow.
There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be...
Alright folks, we're headed into the second map of the night. First Flame going up against Wright State. Now, I have the overlay inverted, so let me fix that real quick, but we can already see that First Flame's going to be opening up on Saravasa going up against Wright State. Wright State picking this ideally to have a bit of a stronger composition for themselves now that the Zarya is not banned, giving them a bit more flexibility. Headed into our first confrontation. First Flame opting to play inside while Wright State's playing on the outside. Trying to pressure early with the Reaper Zarya combination, already getting some solid damage off onto Bic. Will First Flame be able to accommodate now that the Zarya is unbanned, or will it create an actual issue for them? Much to be seen, as Ender's actually able to get an early kill onto Races. Immediately, First Flame's put on a bit of a back foot, with Averse still playing an aggressive, getting another kill onto Bill, and following up with another onto Bic Jumpman. Immediately going to turn that capture progress over to their favor, and putting that early capture progress in Wright State's hands, giving them a solid start to a much-needed round win here. We're headed over to Flashpoint, so it's going to be a bit different from what we saw on the first map. As we can see, First Flame's trying to adapt to the composition already. Bill swapping off of the Genji to go over to the Bastion pick here. We also still have Alec and Nebulous playing on the Kiriko and Lucio combination. Rep still playing with that unbanned Zarya is a great pick against First Flame at the moment, especially bubbling Averse Puma as much as they have been. We can see Cade still sticking with the Lucio Ender, opting to play with the Cassidy here. Races gets the kill onto Averse Puma though, and that's the initiator down. We can immediately see the effects of that going up against Wright State. Alu trying to pressure out that Deadeye used as an aura ultimate. Ender was able to lock out the point just for a few more moments. Bic still looking for an opportunity as they're actually able to reverse the capture. But still, 86% to 10 is a bit of a tough fight for First Flame. They have to be prepared for some counter ultimates. Alu has that Kitsune Rush. Rep has that Graviton Surge. Any moment now this could turn around against First Flame. Out comes that Kitsune Rush, mirrored out by Nebulous, Sound Barrier. We see Artillery Strike, Graviton Surge, both beats. Mess of ultimates going from both sides here. Bic still trying to stay in the fight. Out comes Deadeye. Race Ace is able to get the kill on the Cade, but down goes Bic. Bill's able to find one on a Puma. There's still some potential for First Flame as they're trying to finalize those last couple of kills, but Bill goes down. Race Ace with one onto Ender. Down goes Nebulous. And it appears that First Flame is just ever so slightly outnumbered, with Alex stalling for as long as possible. But the Zarya and Alu are going to have just enough pressure to lock First Flame out. Out comes the Annihilation pop from Bic as a Hail Mary to try and stall a little bit longer, refreshing that armor. Alex able to make it to the point in time. Averse Puma is forced behind, coming close, has that Reaper Death Blossom. Any second could use that to mirror, but doesn't need to. First Flame loses Bic and Bill. Deadeye comes out as well to finalize the capture, with Ender getting two on a Nebulous and Race. We can see First Flame's going to be able to take that first point capture and immediately putting things 0-1. Right State taking that first point capture over First Flame, putting them in a tough spot headed into the next capture points. First Flame having no ultimates, giving the ult advantage over to Wright State, with Reaper Averse Puma having the only ultimate on the board at the moment. Immediately feeling some of the heat as we can see Bill really trying to pressure out. Graviton Surge mirrored out though with the Death Blossom, and First Flame has no answer as a complete team kill wipes them out. Very expensive usage, but very effective one at that. The Flashpoint unlocks. Wright State's going to be able to get their progress. First Flame has to find a counter, especially since they're just now coming up on a couple of ultimates. They've got that Deadeye again, coming up on the artillery barrage, but they have to be cautious. Alu has that, Kitsune Rush. We can see Bic mirroring the Zarya here. Bill still out. On the Bastion. Rep with the kill into Race Ace. Down goes the Deadeye usage. And immediately First Flame's on the back foot. Here comes the artillery barrage. Rep still finding value for Right State. Averse with 2 more on the Nebulous and Bill. First Flame cannot find their footing against this composition. Ender with another on to Bickman, and Bill makes the swap over to Junkrat, looking for any potential to turn this around. Race Ace already in critical condition. Alec coming up on that sound barrier. This is a make it or break it fight for this second flashpoint. First Flame needs to get a point on the board. They're using that Kitsune Rush, but they have to be prepared. We can see that Cade's coming up on that sound barrier, but it's not going to get there in time as Rep goes down. So does Averse Puma. First Flame finds the value they need with the Kitsune Rush, and they're able to get the capture at 99%. Alec and Neb getting a couple more kills just to final off a couple of staggers, forcing Right State to take a little bit longer on their reset. Could ultimately be what they need in their favor. We can see First Flame waiting for an opportunity. Alec has that sound barrier. Ender having the Deadeye, waiting for an opportunity to use it. Doesn't have to be super effective, but can be just something like this. Forcing pressure out. The bubble's going to last just long enough to get out of the sightline, but it backs everyone off. We can already see Right State trying to make some presence. The sound barrier doesn't save Race, but it's an initiation anyway. Alec tries to find value, but it's very painful. Neb and Bic are still able to find a couple of kills. They're holding down the capture. Out comes Graviton Surge. It's a ton of value as Bill gets 2 kills through it. Bickman gets the last one on to Rep. First Flame coming down to the last 10% on the second capture. Does Ender try and go for a touch here? Staggering onto the point. Tries to roll on. Has a touch. Cade's there as well. Bill gets taken out, but Ender gets taken out as well, leaving just Cade, who eventually is going to run out of time to stall. The 99 ticks down, and Averse isn't going to be able to touch. First Flame gets the second capture, putting the score 1-1. Immediately, First Flame is on the aggressive, trying to stop the pressure from Right State. Playing very fast and aggressive. We see that tire come out from Bill. It's going up high, going all the way around. Will it find value? It's close. Down goes Ender. Race Ace, Fan the Hammer, trying to get that kill onto Puma, with Rep being down as well. First Flame has a very free point for themselves. They're trying to get some stagger kills, but it looks like Right State's going to be able to back out without any more losses. Race Ace still has that Deadeye, but Right State has a lot of ultimates to play with. First Flame has to be cautious. 4 ultimates online, that Kitsune Rush, that Death Blossom. We've seen the potential that the Graviton Surge has when paired with with Average Puma tonight. This is a very tricky exchange for First Flame as they're down ult advantage by a mile, and out comes that Kitsune Rush from Alu. Bic already taken out. First Flame losing members quickly as Bill gets taken out as well. Alu with one onto Alec. A single ultimate is all it takes for Right State to shut down First Flame, putting a very strong display on the board. Still 3 ultimates in their pocket. First Flame coming up on a third, but it's still a decent ways away, which means First Flame's going to have to find value with what they have. Could try and use that Kitsune Rush and make a similar push, but they're opting to open with the Deadeye. Bill gets a kill onto Ender. Looking at the corner, trying to find any value, but doing what the Aura ult does and locking people out of sightlines. Bill with another kill onto Averse. Out comes the sound barrier from Cade, trying to sustain the members that remain. Nebulous opening up with that Kitsune Rush as First Flame walks onto the point. Down goes Rep, not going to use that Graviton Surge or the Death Blossom here, just going to have to play for a reset. But they don't have any staggered deaths, meaning that they'll be able to get a fairly quick reset up against First Flame. Ender trying to get a little bit closer to that Bob, coming up on 70% now. A lot to work with, but First Flame still has about 20% of the capture progress to even tie up with the progress that Right State has, putting them in a bit of a tricky position. Out comes the tire from Bill again, looking for an angle, dives in, the Suzu is out! Saving Alu's life there. Out comes the Graviton Surge, preventing the Death Blossom Graviton Surge from doing anything. Alec with the sound barrier at impeccable timing. Bob trying to salvage the fight for Right State, but immediately addressed by First Flame, not letting that Bob get any momentum. We can see Rep tries to find value, gets the kill onto Bill, but it's not going to be enough. Cade goes down as well. First Flame pulls ahead, putting the score 2-1 here in here on Flashpoint. Headed over to the third one. We're headed into map point again. Right State has to find a vulnerability of First Flames here. The Death Blossom and Zarya combination was working early, but since Alec was up and was playing around Sound Barrier, it wasn't going to be able to find the value that it needed, which means Alec is going to have to die before they even think about using that combination again. Losing 2 ultimates to a single Lucio ultimate is devastating for a round like this. Bill with an early kill onto a verse, immediately diving into the back here, trying to find more value. Alec gets taken out, but does find a kill onto Rep. Race with another on Cade, and immediately we can see that they're just that Right's going to go for a very quick reset as First Flame gets some early kills before the flashpoint unlocks and completely locks down the pressure that they need. Race has that Deadeye again, looking for an opportunity to kind of just use some aura and lock people out. Alu coming up on that Kitsune Rush, lots of potential for Right State. We've seen how impactful their Kitsune Rushes have been. Ender gets taken out by Nebulous though, and that's some impressive kunai work. Suzu's out on Rep. Bill has the tire again. Down goes a burst though. Bill might not even need to use it as Rep is completely separated. Alu and Cade gonna have to go for a reset, forcing themselves passive here. Race Ace still playing for an angle to use that Deadeye on. We can see Bickman holding through the choke. Falls off of hype for a moment, but immediately right on top of the Freya, who has to back out. Bill's going to roll out with the tire again, looking for value, trying to go for some psych outs, but the tire explodes. Ender gets the stick. Race Ace has the Deadeye still, coming down to 95% on the capture. Right State has to play fast. Out comes the Kitsune Rush. There's the High Noon. The Deadeye is out. But Rep is running in a straight line! Gets the kill! Race Ace doesn't find value with Deadeye, and immediately this point is contested. No ultimates to play with other than Bix, but Bix doesn't have anybody to play off of. Alec's gonna take the death, and Right State's gonna be able to get the capture at 99-0. First Flame, although they conceded that fight, they're coming up on 3 very important ultimates. But so is Right State. Right State has every opportunity to stall First Flame out of taking this flashpoint. It's still a bit of a tough battle to climb, especially with that sound barrier. If Alec times that right, it could seal the deal. First Flame looking for their opportunity to play in. We can see the Freya ultimate. Alec pops the sound barrier to mirror. Both sound barriers out. Kitsune Rush. There's the Graviton Surge. First Flame's going to be able to sustain through it. They pop their own Graviton Surge. Down go Rep and Alu. Bill's a little low in the back, but gets bubbled anyway. Bickman with another onto a verse. Ender gets taken out, and Cade falls as well. With the overtime ticking down, First Flame takes the second map up against Right State, putting the score 2-0 and gaining a strong lead. We'll be back with match point to see if Right State can put something on the board or if First Flame will finish the series off after a short break. Mary Schlattness, by the way. Thank you very much, Screeching Emu.
That's the island greeting that we send to you from the land where palm trees sway. Here we know that Christmas will be green and bright, the sun to shine by day and all the stars at night. Melikilikimaka is a wise way to say Merry Christmas to you. Melikilikimaka is the thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day. That's the island greeting that we send to you from the land where palm trees sway. Here we know that Christmas will be green and bright, the sun to shine by day, and all the stars at night. Whoa, Melikilikimaka is Hawaii's way to say, oh, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, to say Merry Christmas to you. Happy holiday, happy holiday, while the merry bells keep ringing. Happy holiday.
Alright, folks, we're back in it. Map 3 of First Flame going up against Right State Raiders. First Flame's able to take a very clean couple of maps off of Right State. Headed into this third one, it's going to be a bit of a toss-up as we see a couple of bans coming out immediately. First of all, we can see Right State went ahead and banned the Pharah up against First Flame, but First Flame immediately countered by banning the Doomfist, meaning that we're going to see Rep roll out on the Wrecking Ball here, which is a bit of an interesting choice, but it makes sense considering the ban onto the Doomfist. Immediately playing around the flank here, playing around those packs, trying to find an opening as the rest of Right State Raiders try and pressure out from main. Word 66 isn't a map that I personally see played a lot. I'm used to commentating on a collegiate level instead of FaceIt level, so this is an odd map pick for me. I don't think I really have seen a team pick this as their preferred map, but we'll see how this plays out for Right State and First Flame. First Flame already trying to play on the height here, locking out the ball from getting any immediate pressure. And Right State as well, keeping someone on the cart just to try and consistently pressure out. Rep getting taken out by Alec though, swapping over to that Brigitte at the beginning, just playing pretty much completely against the ball, which is going to force Rep to immediately swap over to the Diva here, which I honestly think is a great swap in mind. You know, if you know you're just going to get consistently parried out by Brigitte, why stick with something that most likely isn't going to continuously work? However, that means that you're going to have to mirror Bic on Diva, which means both of them are going to be playing for their defense matrices here. Alec, you're getting pretty close to that rally. Bickman almost to self-destruct. We can see Alu trying to find some value for Right State on Kiriko here. Torb turret in the back. Down goes Bill's Torb turret. Let's take a look at Bill. Ender coming up on that overclock, but Nebulous has the amplification matrix. Bic also having the self-destruct. First Flame opting to give a little bit of space over to Right State to kind of respect the sightline that that it has. We see Alec pop the rally. Bickman with the kill onto Ender, but it's still a bit of a losing battle for First Flame. Ooh, but a big kill onto Alu, and that self-destruct might have been enough to change the game with just those two, as Race finds another onto a verse. Bic with another onto Cade, and we can immediately see how that fight turns back over to First Flame's favor with a rally kill and then a solid self-destruct. It didn't get any value, it didn't get any kills, but the value is gotten through just complete positional advantage. First Flame's able to regroup, once again playing height on the first corner with Vic on the height. Bob popped out immediately, gets shredded out though. To be expected, but does stall the Kitsune rush for a brief moment, giving First Flame some time to reset the positioning. Alec extraordinarily low. We can see, though, they're still going to be able to hold on with Raysace finding a kill. Molten Core comes out from Bill, just completely denying the rooftop. Cade gets taken out as well. We can see Alec looking for some value. Vic looking at the cart as well. We see the sim swap from a verse, which I failed to comment on. Trying to teleport out and barely makes it. Oh, but Raysace gets the finishing blow. Cade and Rep both having their ultimates, need to find a way to break on for Right State. So far, bit of a lockout for Right State at this point. They definitely need to start finding value with some ultimates, or they have to find a way to initiate with the beat, which is just going to be a very difficult task going up against First Flame, especially since First Flame is playing that height. Goodness gracious. If Right State can deny that height from First Flame, then there is a definite opportunity. Ooh, Nebula's taken out quick. Alec goes down as well. First Flame's out of their supports. The Amplification Matrix exists, but are they going to be able to get the eliminations to follow up? Bill goes down, and it's coming down to the wire with that cart just a few meters away from the capture. Down goes Vickman, getting demech. Doesn't have the self-destruct either, or does have the self-destruct. Opts not to use it to a losing fight, and immediately we're going to see that first capture come from Right State. Came down to the wire, the last minute on the clock, but they do have 2.5 now, and they might have been able to find their footing up against First Flame, giving them an opportunity to be a bit more impactful on the second capture. We immediately see the sim wall come out from Averse Puma, playing aggressive up against First Flame. Out comes the rally from Alec, trying to stall, but Averse Puma's just going to play on the other side of the shield, completely denying the value that Rally could get from sustain, and instead just forcing Alec to maintain a defensive position. We can already see Vickman's back in the offense, getting a kill on the Ender, looking for an opportunity to go for another on a Cade, but those sim turrets are putting in a decent amount of work, giving a consistent charge. Alu comes out with a Kitsune rush, First Flame feeling a bit of that pressure. Still playing in, trying to find any additional kills, but First Flame is sustaining out every ultimate that Right State's committing. Down goes Alu and Averse, as we can see First Flame get 3 kills, a final one on Decade before the reset happens, and that's the largest issue that Right State is currently experiencing. They're using all of these ultimates up against First Flame, but they are unable to lock down firm eliminations against First Flame during those pivotal team fights, giving a lot of ult advantage back over to First Flame here. We can see Vickman, Bill, and Raysace all have theirs online. That sim turret does definitely hurt, as Vickman immediately has to reset position, but Bill coming out with that Molten Core, able to set a bunch of turf down, preventing that pressure. Out comes the self-destruct sequence from Rep, and Vickman using the self-destruct sequence as well, going for an offensive placement, able to get the kill onto Ender and maintain the fight as Bill, Nebulous, and Vickman get plenty of kills to finish things out. Bill with the hammer double kill there. Unfortunately, I did not catch that one. But that's going to completely reset the fight once again. First Flame, less than a minute on the clock for Right State. First Flame coming up on a third ultimate, with Raysace using that Bob extremely aggressive and getting a kill onto Ender. Bob's gonna very quickly get stalled out afterwards, but that shock kill onto Ender is something that Right State was not anticipating. Still trying to find some damage through spamming through main here. Alec has that rally. Out comes Ender using that ultimate from Freya here, but mirrored out by Kitsune Rush and Rally, both support ultimates from First Flame here. Alec gets the kill onto Averse Puma, but Nebulous goes down. It's still a bit of a toss-up, but Cade going down might seal the deal. Overtime's ticking. Right State can't afford to step off, but with Kiriko going down and Vickman getting, not Vickman, Rep getting demeched, Ender doesn't have a chance to touch that Torb turret. Too oppressive as the overtime stalls out. First Flame's going to have a very strong defensive hold. 45 meters and a first capture point for Right State is something to be commended, absolutely, but it means that First Flame has a lot to work with headed into their offensive half, and it's going to definitely come down to Wright State's ability to stall out First Flame on this first capture point. First Flame had an immaculate defense on the first bend here, making it extraordinarily difficult for Wright State to get the time that they needed going up against First Flame. Looking at their compositions, we'll see if First Flame makes any changes. I imagine that Wright State will stick with the Symmetra on a verse Puma. It's been working for them decently well. If they really want to play risky, they could try and go for what they did on Flashpoint, go for the Zarya and Reaper composition, but I think Rep feels a bit more comfortable playing D.Va here, which makes sense. You know, Zarya is going to really struggle to fight with the verticality that you see on Root most of the time, and D.Va's versatility and her movement just makes her a more logical option here. A verse Puma looking to mirror the Torbjorn. Bill swapping over to the Junkrat here. We see Alu bringing out the Wuyang and Ender on the Mei. I think all of these are solid compositional picks. They definitely give Wright State something to play with. My only concern would be trying to play height up against the Junkrat, especially Bill's Junkrat, as we've seen, has been very oppressive tonight. They're going to have to find a consistent way to deny that. Now, theoretically, Rep can do a lot with the defense matrix. Ender might be able to use Mei's crystal form, but that damage could be more than enough to lock them out of height entirely. Raysa's opening up on the Widowmaker as well. Let's see if we can get any of those shots captured on the jump. Just barely missing Cade there. Bickman already trying to play the height, but very low on the excuse me, D.Va. Bill finds a kill onto a verse Puma with the Junkrat, does go down. Fairly similar to what I had expected from that value, though. Junkrat kind of forces everyone off of the height. As a result, Bill's able to find some value. Trying to find that kill on Cade, who is forced to play behind the rock. Cade trying to force Raysays out of the other rock. We can see Rep fairly low, gonna get demeched there, which is really unfortunate for Wright State, as they now have to find a way to counter First Flame's offense. We can see Raysays playing very aggressive on the flank here, trying to secure a kill onto the Torbjorn, coming out of the wire, and Torbjorn not going to be able to get the kill. Bickman following up with 3, though. Nebulous with the final one onto Cade. That's going to be a team kill for First Flame, as they're able to immediately get 5 minutes on the clock, which is a massive time sink for 45 meters. This first straight stretch already looking a bit tricky. Raysay still on the Widowmaker, trying to play a bit aggressive here. Bick going up against Rep on the height there. We can see Raysay's once again got that heat vision locked in, looking for a quick pick. Bick fighting up against Puma, playing on the height here, knocking out that Torb turret, has the self-destruct sequence. Alu has Tidal Blast. So far, we can see First Flame playing a very difficult counter. We can see Alu comes out with that Tidal Blast up against Rep, keeping them up a little bit longer, but here comes Rally. Alec trying to stall out Rep's value, and it's just so much. The defense matrix can only eat that as much value as possible. Self-destruct sequence comes out, though, and they are able to get a couple of kills, which actually forces First Flame to reset. First Flame coming up with 3 ultimates, though. Nebulous, Bill, and Bickman having a lot to play with. Bill waiting for the right time to use that tire. Cade coming up as well on that Kitsune rush, which means there's plenty of opportunities for Wright State to turn this back around. We can see the destruct sequence used for a remech there. Here comes Bill using the tire. Quick kill onto Ender. Alec does go down, but First Flame still able to play offensive. Out comes the Kitsune rush. Looking out on height, though, Raysays is getting really pincered out. Averse Puma gets the kill, gets killed out by Bill, and no one was actually there to stop First Flame from capturing the cart, which means First Flame's going to take the 3rd map of the night and the match up against Wright State Raiders. I'll let everyone watch this play of the game as I talk us out here. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. This is actually my first ever FaceIt commentating. I have only exclusively done commentating for collegiate, primarily collegiate Overwatch, but not just collegiate Overwatch. I do collegiate pretty much every esport title you can think of. So this was a great experience for me, and I'm very excited to be doing more FaceIt stuff in the future, which leads me to my next point. if you want to listen to me blab a little bit more about FaceIt Overwatch, I've got good news for you because I've got 3 more FaceIt matches that I will be doing. 2 more, my apologies. 2 more FaceIt matches I will be doing in the very near future. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I have another FaceIt match with First Flame going up against Shiki Daruma, which is going to be a very interesting one. So far, First Flame has been flawless in their victories, but I should add a couple of notes that First Flame's first 2 matches were forfeitures from the other rostered teams, which means that they've only had 2 actual matches. They have taken those, but we'll see if they'll be able to compete up against Shiki Daruma on Monday at 8 o'clock. I'll be here tomorrow night doing that exact same thing. And then on Wednesday, there's going to be another game from First Flame going up against Leica Adams. Now, Leica is a very, very prestigious a team, and I'm very excited to have the opportunity to commentate a match of Leica's. And so if you're interested at all in being a part of those matches and seeing more FaceIt, more Overwatch from me, hit that follow button down below. I'm going to be doing this all season long and ideally for many more seasons to come. Once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I've been Nano, and to all, a good night.